What's up, everybody? It's your favorite diner of Turtle Soup's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Dreamex Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder figure, 1/6 scale. And I don't have any 1/6 scale figures to do a size comparison of, so I will measure him. And it's about 12.5 inches to the top of his crest there. So sizable unit. I guess I should tell you guys how this figure ended up in my possession. I try to be as transparent as possible. And this one actually deserves a bit of a story. So my buddy Greg, he knew I was slightly interested in this, and he knew a guy who was selling them, a guy who has a toy store. The toy store's name is Titan 1. We'll get back to that. And he had been talking to them about taking a look at it, and he messaged me and asked me if I would be interested. I said yeah. He got in touch with this dude from Titan 1. Titan 1 contacted me. I gave him my number. They called me, and we talked. And I'm going to take a look at this and then send it on its way. Like I always try to tell when I'm dealing with new companies to people how it was dealing with them, and this was a pleasure. It came very well packaged. It came with a little note, and it came with like little candies in the box, so that was nice.
What's that?
Something a toy distributor sent to me.
Sell out.
I gotta send it back. But let's talk about accessories. So we'll talk about the accessories that are on him in here in a second. He comes with 3 of these throwing stars. They're die cast and they're chrome plated, and they're very nice. They're good sculpts, and they weigh well, or they feel weighty in your hand, if you know what I'm saying. He comes with a display stand. I'm not going to put it together because, like I said, I'm sending this back, and it seems as though I could do some damage to it. But it clips in here, and then it has these pieces that go underneath the crotch. I'm guessing they extend. They do, like a regular Sideshow or Hot Toys figure. And then it comes with a little shredder thing that you can put in front. So it comes with a nice display stand, so that's a big check off the list for me. It comes with a Krang phone, and has a little Krang art on there. It's not the best Krang art in the world, but it is on there. I would actually have thought it would have been better, to be honest. Like, being as though everything looks so cool, you know, visually about this figure. It has plenty of issues, which we're going to talk about, but everything looks cool. I would have thought this would have looked more photoreal. So I am a little disappointed in how this Krang looks, but it's well painted and done in that regard. And the silver paint on there looks good. It's the silver paint is also a softer plastic, so you don't have to worry about that bending. So that's nice. He comes with, I think these are 2 sleeves, like 2 additional sleeves for him. I didn't put them on. I didn't feel the need to do so, but I'm guessing you can. He comes with a sheath or a scabbard or whatever they're called for his sword. It does fit with no problem. But I don't know exactly where to have this. It seems as though you can get the belt is elastic. You can get underneath the belt and kind of have it on his hip here. It also seems like you could go underneath this thing and out through the top of his cape, but I don't think you'd want to do that. I think it would get jammed up underneath the helmet. Or you could have him holding it in the other hand, but it doesn't seem like there's a great place for this. I could be wrong. There's no instructions with this thing, so I could be wrong, but we can talk about it anyway. Great sculpt work detail throughout. There's a silver paint recessed in it, which I don't even know exactly how they did that. And then, unless they painted the top, but it doesn't appear that that's what they did. And then silver paint on all the details here, and it's all sculpted, and it's nice. It's a good looking accessory. He also comes with this bit of business, which is a little bit of ooze, a little bit of mutagen. And like, this is very cool. This is very, very cool. I wish that it moved. I know that's probably asking for a bit much, but it's die cast, it feels like. Pieces on here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but it's weighty. Maybe it's this gel bit, and then the silver finish, the red paint up there. It is very cool. It's a very cool bit of ooze. I dig it a lot. And then he comes with a ton of hands. We have 2 fist hands, and we'll talk about these detailings now. So there is a flesh tone to him. It is an odd flesh tone. Like, it almost looks like he's a zombie or something, flesh tone, which isn't my favorite. And then it has a subtle, I'm not sure if that's a wash or an airbrush effect on there, on the knuckles. I think if they would have done that with a figure of this size, you get a little bit more leeway in terms of what you can do with paint. And if they would have done it between the fingers as opposed to on top of the knuckles, I think it would have given more depth to it. The silver is a darker gray and then dry brush with a lighter silver, and that's good to go. And then the straps are all painted, and that's fine. The sculpt itself is perfect. So you get right and left hands. The hands that he comes with in the box are these right and left relaxed hands. You can maybe do some posing with them. And then the fingers, the phalanges, if you will, are a softer plastic. Same detailings. And then you get these hands, which are like port hands. But I'm not seeing any accessories he can use with them, really. Unless they're planning on releasing additional accessories as they go. Maybe you can stick that in there, but it doesn't really look natural. And I wonder if you can stick... Yeah, you can probably stick it in between this hand, too, which looks pretty good. And then when he gets right and... We'll talk about these hands real quick. Right and left holding hands or posing hands. They kind of double, which is rather smart. I can get behind that because you can use this as posing, and he also holds... the sword with it, and he holds the sword just fine. And you guys know I overpronounce the W because that's how I roll. Wu-Tang! Anyway, there's a chrome finish to the sword, and it's very well done. It's die cast, so it feels heavy, it feels powerful, it feels good. All this stuff is sculpted and painted. So the silver is painted, I think the black is the base, and then the turquoise is painted, and it's really, really, really well done. And we'll put that away so we don't damage that. And then he comes with two hands with the longer blades, and that's cool. And they're all done the same detailing. So that's a really nice accessory. So you could use one, or you could have them both. I think the box art has them as both. No shortage of accessories. In fact, there's so many that I forgot one. Here's an alternate head with the full face sculpt. And this head, the skin tone, is significantly darker than the skin tone on the figure, which is weird. The hair is sculpted nice, and then he has a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow. The eyes aren't painted extremely well. They're okay, but they're not as good as like a Play Arts figure, and they're not as good as I've seen with Sideshow or Hot Toys. So I'm a little weirded out by that. I feel like they should have put a gloss finish over top of the eyes, and maybe some reflective dots and stuff in the eyes, kind of give it that photoreal look. And then the hair is sculpted nice and then painted well, even though the paint is off. For this head, you can actually remove the helmet, which we'll do for the sake of looking at it. And the helmet is sculpted extremely well. Beautiful sculpt. We have silver paint. Actually, I think it's just dry brushing. I think it's just this darker color and then a heavy, heavy, heavy dry brush, heavy hand dry brush. And then this top bit is painted silver. But that looks really good. And then to switch out the heads, you take this. We'll take this off for now too, because this is an accessory. It's just this purple cape. It's got a little bit of a collar on there. That's okay. Has the wire, the thin wire in it, which you know I hate. And this material is not the best for a cape. It should have been heavier, especially with a figure this size. I can hold it. And then it does have some paint effects in it for a little bit of a dirtiness to the cape, like it's been worn, which I do dig. We can take a look at this joint right here while we're here, which is just this cylindrical joint on a ball peg. It's a double ball peg that goes down into the neck. Which is ultimately fine. That's how most 1/6 scale figures do it that I have seen, and you just pop that on, easy peasy lemon squeezy, no issues, and you get a ton of articulation. But we'll talk about all that here in a second. All right, so let's talk about this guy, and I'm going to kind of take some of his stuff off as we go, just because some of this stuff needs to be pointed out. So, all right, so we saw the head articulation. It's fairly well done. However, a joint at the neck to the torso would have given you a lot more movement, because that's as far down as you get. That's as far up. There's no gaps, so that's nice. And then you get the swivel and confused dog look and all that kind of stuff, so that's fine. Decent face sculpt as well. Moving down, so we have, all right. Did that just... Oh, it came out. It came unthreaded. I'll tell you, I don't know if, personally, just my tastes, if it's... If this 1/6 scale is for me. Let me get this threaded back. We'll get back. Alright, that actually proved to be a bit more of a pain than I had initially expected. But this is a separate piece of fabric, rather, that sits over top of the main tunic piece. The stitching and stuff and all that stuff looks good. This feels leather-ish. If it's not real leather, it feels leather-ish, and that's good. It looks leather, so that's kind of what counts. Which is attached to these two straps here, and you see that's just sewn into there. These are real clips, so they work just like the real thing. You squeeze the sides and you can take it off. And we'll take this one off as well. Ooh, that's not good. And they're connected to two Velcro pieces, but this Velcro, the glue is wearing off on the Velcro to the actual shoulder pad, so that's a bummer. Same sort of detailings, nice sculpt work, and they sit on here. Now, if you watch my reviews, you know that I generally think that shoulder pads should be attached to the shoulder, and then they should manipulate around the shoulder as need be. This scale doesn't really bother me because you can just get it where you want, and then you can kind of sit it up on top, but you can't really muck about with it, or you'll just have to resort it, which isn't the biggest pain in the world, but it's not the most convenient either. So that's that. The shoulders themselves, surprisingly, are just on ball discs. So no butterfly joint, which is a little weird, and you just get 90 degrees up to there, down, and then the swivel. No bicep swivel. You do get it at the elbow, so that's fine. And the elbow is a single, once again, ball hinge or disc hinge, and it gets you 90 degrees, just about, maybe a little shy. Nice paint work with the shading, subtle shading, and sculpt work of the veins and so forth. That all looks good. Same here down in the wrist area. This gauntlet piece here is a separate piece, and we'll take this off this hand, and I hope it doesn't break. That's a problem. So that's where it goes in, and that is a significant stress mark on this peg. Now I've only taken off the hands that came with it, which were these, and put the other ones on, and now I've taken those off, and it had a stress mark from the very first time I took these off. So that is less than ideal, but as you can see, it is on a ball hinge rather than a disc hinge here, like a Play Arts Kai figure. At the wrist, you get the swivel. Good grief, I got a frog in my throat or something. You get the swivel at both ends, and then so you can get the, let's see how, there, that went on easy. So you get the swivel at the wrist. You can also, if you squeeze tight, get the swivel there, so you can get the up down or the in out. So that all works well. And I gotta take this off again so I can remove this. And this is just elastic. You take it off and you add the gauntlet piece on. The gauntlet has the same detailings as we've kind of seen, throughout. Good sculpt work and good paint work. So same exact thing for the other side. We'll check how this peg is holding up. It also has a stress mark on it, I believe. Yep. Just as significant as the other one. So that's a bummer. I personally don't know how long that's going to hold up. I mean, switching it one time and getting it displayed, you should be fine. Then we have the torso area. I can't tell. I'm guessing it feels like maybe it's a double ball peg, one in the torso and one in the pelvis, and then the abdomen is kind of floating between the two. But either way, articulation is great. So down to there, back to there, and then a little bit of side to side. The belt is a separate piece, and it's also done with elastic and Velcro here, so you could take the belt off if you choose to do so. Not sure why you would, but you could. The tunic, we have separate pieces of plastic with different textures and stuff that adds for a good bit of depth to the figure, so I'm on board with that. We'll pull this up out of the way, which reveals his pants. We have like a more stretchy material here, which is good for the articulation, and then the leather kind of accents. So that all works fine. It feels like universal joints to me, but it could be ball joints. Either way, you get out to the side. We'll back that out a bit. A fair bit. Proportionally, it looks a little weird, but it's there. And then forward to there. Pulling his britches down a little bit. And nothing really back, which is okay. Thigh swivel at the ball joint. Or, yeah, I'm guessing it is a ball joint. I can't really tell. It might be a universal. I just can't tell. But you do get the thigh swivel. Feels like a single jointed knee, which gets you less than 90 degrees. And then you get down here to these ankles, which is very similar to the wrist. We'll pop off a foot You got these small little pegs. Once again, these seem to be holding up much better though. No issues there. And you slide those off, and then you put this back on. Or you can take that foot off and slide this on. We'll take a look at this. So it's the same ball hinge, which gets you an ankle tilt up, a good tilt down, and a bit of a rocker. So no issues there. And then the sculpt work on the boots and stuff looks great, even to include the bottom. And that's this guy. And his strap came undone again. Final thoughts wise, this thing is plagued with issues. Let's talk about them. The pegs where the hands plug in, those are problematic. The fact that this strap keeps coming undone is a huge nuisance. The shoulders, the way that the armor is added onto the figure it's effective, but it's not the best way to handle it in my opinion. The cape doesn't seem on the quality level as the rest of the figure in terms of materials. The one head seems significantly darker skin tone wise than the other head and than the rest of the body, and the articulation as a whole is relatively limited. Now, let me say this. I don't think that 1/6 scale figures are my cup of tea. I just don't think they're meant for me. I think as a whole, we're cats and dogs. Soft goods on a figure in this amount, it's not for my personal preference. That being said, the soft goods here, for the most part, with the exception of the strap and the cape, aren't really problematic objectively for the figure. I just don't think it's for me. The good is that most of the paint is applied well. The soft goods are stitched and carried out well. The accessories are awesome, to include the stand and all the little crank phone and all that stuff. All good, solid stuff. And, you know, simply posed and put on a shelf and walked away from, it'll be fine. But yeah, I can't in good conscience recommend this. I'm just not really wowed by it. Now, my expertise with 1/6 scale figures, once again, is fairly limited. I have messed with the Sideshow Sideshow Deadpool, and I messed with Marty a little bit from Hot Toys, and I'm going to be looking at Marty here again, hopefully soon. Those two are done much better than this. Now, I think those two carry a heftier price tag as well, but I just can't I don't even know what the price of this is offhand, and even without knowing that price, I can't in good conscience recommend this. It's just not extremely well done, to be fair, pretty much across the board. The paint is fantastic, though. Good job on the paint. I can, however, recommend the company, Titan One. They looked out for me. They did good by me. I don't have anything to gain by saying that they had top shelf customer service. I'm sending this back, but they did, and I would definitely buy from them. Outside of that, that's all I can say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.